We have 5 of them.
5. Now, which one of those is right next to you? Is there like an assistant chief, or?
No, I don't have one of them yet. We're trying to work on that, or a
So in
captain.
other words, there's 5 lieutenants. Does one have more power than the
More
other, or are they all
seniority.
equal?
We go by seniority, which is probably comes under the union rules, but even if there wasn't a union rule, we'd go by seniority. Longest man on, longest time in rank, he would be next in command. And that's the way I run it down that way. Senior lieutenant is working right under me right now.
Okay. Who's under the lieutenants?
Names?
No.
Who's under them?
Yeah, which?
We have sergeants under them.
Okay. And under that?
We have the P2s, which are your detectives and your specialists, like your juvenile prosecutor, safety officer.
And I was told that those type of things, those positions like safety officer, dog officer, are those things appointed directly by you?
Well, the dog officer isn't. He works under us, but he's appointed by the town. The safety officer, juvenile officer.
Those are your appointments?
They're my appointments.
Now, how would you base your standard on saying someone's an officer on the street and promoting them to, say, a safety officer or something like that? What would you go by for that kind of thing?
Well, the way I go by is their demeanor, their appearance, the way they act, the way they could relate to kids. If it's a safety officer or juvenile officer, either one, I probably categorize them both in about the same realm, because they're both working mostly with children, under 17 years old. Safety officer does his work in the school, like kindergarten to 6. Juvenile takes it from all the way up to 17 years old. And they're most of the time working with the children of the town. So you have to, I do anyway, is like I say, their appearance, if they're young looking, they can relate to kids and also to grown-ups. And this is the way I go by it.
You brought up something that a lot of people complain about in this town, the kids. And, kids are kids. But years ago when I was a kid, it seemed to me there was more places for us to go. Things have built up, and it doesn't seem like there's really places for kids to go anymore. I see them hanging around by the square, and I see shop owners complaining about them. Do you think there's a problem with juveniles in Randolph, or are they just being kids?
They're just being kids, because I don't buy that part about they don't have anything to do or any place to go. Years ago, you didn't have any place to go because we didn't have wheels. We couldn't afford a car. Today, most of your kids in high school have cars, and they can go somewhere to have a good time. Well, if we went, we had to walk or hitch a ride or something like that. I don't think it's that they don't have anything to do.
So you don't think it's really a problem then?
No. They want to go somewhere. I believe I think they just want to be noticed, that they are human beings and they want to be seen. And this is the way I look at it.
Yeah. So
instead of going down in the sand pits and drink or hang around, they won't. They'll stay up on the main street where they can be noticed. But I think it's something that they're trying to relate to the community, that they are people.
It seems to me like it's a social spot up there, where they meet each other and have a good time.
The only problem with that is they don't leave right away until you tell them to. And then they just disappear. They do leave when you ask them to leave. They're nice about it.
How has all this business in Randolph affected the police department? There's so many businesses now opening up, and there's strips there's malls and strips everywhere, all over the place. How has that affected your, placement of police and your need for more?
Well, this is where the problem arose, is with, especially within, I'd say, the last 10 years, when they started developing the town with their industrial parks and their business blocks. We just didn't have the people to cover all these. We still don't. That's why we had to ask for 10 more just to put some coverage on the street. I mean, at night we have 4 cruisers out. In the daytime, you only got 2.
It's funny that you asked for 10 policemen from the selectmen and the town meeting, and they gave you all 10. It's kind of unusual, but it was obviously needed.
I think they finally realized that they need somebody out there, and we just couldn't put them out there. The money we didn't have, the overtime money, because they don't work for, you can't work for comp time or anything, so you have to pay them. And the money in the budget wasn't enough to cover it. So with the 10 people, Lieutenant Mahan and myself, he did a very good job on it. spelled it all out in dollars and cents,
Mhm.
and just where the people would be placed. And it was a good package, and it's a fact. It wasn't anything made up. It was all factual. And I think the people finally saw the light.
Does the police department have enough money to have adequate supplies and machines and everything that you need? Enough squad cars, enough ambulances and things like that? Actually, the ambulances are in the fire department,
Yeah.
right? Yep, okay.
No,
But
we have enough equipment to cover, even with the 10 people. When we get them, we'll have enough to cover our sectors, which we call sectors. Because on it, like I said, the daytimes is, you'd be shocked. There's only 2 cruisers out there.
it's a lot of property and a lot of people for
That's
two
right, and
cruises.
there's a lot of calls. So everybody says, well, it's different. Of course it's different. You have a different type of day people than you do at night. But they still have to answer calls, and they have to, and we need, we need 2 more, and we wanted a centerman or a walking beat for the merchants. We want one uptown, and I think the ones in North Randolph deserve one, and this is what we told them we would do with them, and this is where they'll go.
Let me ask you a question. You talked about the man walking a beat. I noticed one gentleman who walks a beat down the square, pretty well known to people in Randolph, is a guy named Joe Previty, who is now a selectman. How does that, aren't the selectmen your actual bosses?
Well, they are and they aren't. See, I fall under a different section of the statute that I do answer to them, but actually I am my own boss. I come under a chapter and section of 97A, which makes me the chief's position.
So I was just wondering if there was any kind of dichotomy, any kind of problem dealing with one of your officers being on the selectman board. It's kind of an unusual thing.
No, I don't find a problem with it. I do when it comes time at the selectmen's meeting, if they're having a vote on something and say it's an essential vote, he can't vote if it's police matters.
But he can make his opinion known, which helps, I would suppose.
Yeah, it helps, but it still would make a tie vote, and you could, could go down the drain. The selectmen, per se, are the bosses, but, I mean, I get along with them. I think I do, anyway. They don't, but I do with
How would you rate your police department in comparison to other communities of a similar size? Do you think we're doing a good job here? It looks to me like, obviously we're not overrun with crime, so...
I think we're doing an excellent job. I think the men in the department are doing a very good job. I can't find really any fault with them. Like I said, you might have 98% that are great, and you got 2% that might be a little bit on off color, but they still do their work.
Yeah, well, that's all that counts.
And I think if you want to rate them from 1 to 10, they'll take a number 1 right off the top.
That's...
Or
I'm sure
10.
they're all watching right now and probably clapping at home. But there's an old saying that the department with the best budget has the best department. Do you think that's true?
Not all the time. I think we had a poor budget there since 2.5 hit, but I think we have a good department with a poor budget. We stayed under what the finance committee wanted us to do, and I mean, it was a struggle. But through our efforts, through the department's efforts, my efforts, we come up with some pretty good equipment. They're about the best equipped police officers in the state. They have everything that I think they should have. And if there's any way I can get it for them, I get it. So I think we did it on a limited budget, and I think we did a good job with it.
Okay. I'm going to ask you some more probing questions, but first we have to probe for a commercial, and we'll be back with more of Inside Randolph right after this break.